Welcome back, True Seeker. October 23rd, 2022 was Sunday, and the World Series was set on this day. Phillies versus Astros. And again, a lot of people in the comments saying, so what if you called the Phillies in spring training? You also thought it might be the Dodgers or Toronto. And again, this is a math lesson here. At the beginning of spring training, I advised you put chips on the Phillies, the Dodgers, and Toronto. I thought all three of those teams had a very great narrative to be in this year's World Series. So if you had Phillies to win the pennant, that paid 20-1. Let's just say you bet $100 on Toronto, $100 on the LA Dodgers, and $100 on the Phillies. You just hit for 20-1 on the Phillies, so you made $2,000 plus you got your 100 back, so that's $2,100 right there. But you did lose 100 on Toronto and LA, so you have $1,900, and you started by putting, $300 on the table. You made a considerable profit. If you hired somebody as your investor, or not your, well, they could be your investor or the person who advises for your investments. If in 1 year you invested $300 and on two of those bets you did lose, but on the other one you brought home an extra $2,000, would you be mad at that person? And imagine if you found out that that person's fee for the whole year was $60 and you hit on a whole lot of other great bets, like you did if you took my NFL Week 7 advice. I thought the Panthers had a really great shot to upset the Bucs today. I thought the Seahawks had a great chance to upset, so did the Redskins. And the game of the day that I thought was Kansas City over San Francisco. Take Kansas City and take the over. Boom and boom. And another spring training future hits. And I've been doing this every year, you guys, since the 111th World Series. Again, look into the article written by Vice News making fun of me for nailing the World Series that year. It was the year the Astros won the 113th World Series. And funny enough, the Astros and the Phillies both made it to the World Series today. And I wrote about why today might be the perfect day for both series to end and why both teams might go to the World Series today. Again, this is all on Patreon before the games, you guys. I only charge $5 a month. That's $60 a year. And again, we have been destroying the rigged world of sports. But listen, the Astros just got their 113th win of the season. When they won, Verlander was on the field next to George Herbert Walker Bush, who was the 41st president, who was a member of Skull and Bones. The reason I liked the Phillies, the Dodgers, or Toronto is because they were the three teams with the strong 118 connections. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania equals 118. Los Angeles, California equals 118. The company that owns the Toronto Blue Jays, their name equals 118, as does George Springer's full name. And anyhow, it's good that it was Philadelphia because they paid the highest. Dodgers didn't pay much. They paid I forget what it was, 4-1. Toronto paid 13-1. Phillies were the best bet in terms of the payout. But anyhow, where Houston fits in that I realize now, you have the Brittany Griner story. She's from Houston. Her birthday is 1018, October 18th, 201 anniversary. But anyhow, the other 118 connection is George Herbert Walker Bush, who was last seen pretty much in public when the Astros won the World Series. And as I've always pointed out, George Herbert Walker Bush equals 118. He was number 41. When you spell out 41 as a word, it equals 118. He was a member of Skull and Bones, which equals 41, and they get their symbolism from an ossuary, which also equals 118. So you have one of the Bush family connected teams versus the 118 city, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And again, as for the World Series being set today on the 23rd, the word end equals 23. Both series end on the 23rd. 23 is the ninth prime number. 9 represents completion in numerology. Baseball, a game of 9 innings. And then today leaves 69 days left in the year. World Series equals 69. Remember, last year we were very confident Atlanta would beat Houston in the World Series, and it was all about 69 again last year. And again, last year in spring training, we thought the Braves and the Dodgers were the two most likely teams to win the World Series. Had you put futures in on both, Atlanta, paid better than 20-1 last year to win the World Series. So again, for you guys who leave comments like all you can say is, well, what about the Dodgers in Toronto, huh? It's like, okay, Do you guys realize how dumb your criticism sounds? We're talking about winning every year. I've been teaching you guys Gematria every year and nailing the World Series in spring training every year. Show me a better track record in the history of the world. I don't think you can prove it. And again, I can prove it. I've been putting it out publicly for years before I went to the Patreon. The last 3-4 years, everything's been on Patreon. But I just gave you guys a big clue about the Phillies last week when I talked about the Dodgers getting eliminated. And again, a lot of people in my community will want to see the Phillies win the World Series, but I got to tell you, as a society, it's better if the Phillies don't win because, again, they won in 1929, the city of Philadelphia. They were the Athletics back then. That's the year of the Great Depression. They also won in 1930, just as bad of a year as 1929. And then they won in 1980, another economic hardship year, high energy costs, 1980. And then they won in 2008, the year of the economic collapse. So again, when the Phillies win the World Series, it's bad times for America's economy, and kind of fits with the narrative right now, not to mention they're from Pennsylvania like Joe Biden, who a lot of people in America are blaming for the conditions, and I understand why. I mean, that is the story if you're following the mainstream, but again, these guys are all puppets on the stage. That's how we called Biden as number 46 in the election 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. You better learn your numbers. Catholic equals 46 like Joe. But again, you guys, World Series 69 on the day, leaving 69 days left in the year. The World Series is set, both games. And check out the score of the Yankees-Astros game, 6-5. Remember, New York Yankees equals 65. Philadelphia equals 65. Philadelphia is established October 27th in history, the day leaving 65 days left in the year. And this year's manager, the new manager for the Phillies, Rob Thompson, he clinched the Phillies their first playoff berth in a minute, doing it with his 65th win. Today, the Yankees starting pitcher was Cortez, number 65. The final score 6-5, and when the Yankees closed out Cleveland's starting pitcher for that game was 65. And we've been educated about these patterns for a million times. Phillies beat the Padres 4-3. San Diego equals 43. Today, the Chargers became 4-3, who used to be in San Diego. So did the Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks equals 43. Chargers 43. Seahawks won their only Super Bowl with 43 points. Yeah, Zach, but you run the alphabetic order in reverse too. Yeah, you're right. Seahawks equals 48. They won Super Bowl 48 with 43 points. 94th NFL season. Seattle, Washington, 94. Denver, 94. Russell Wilson's grandpa died at age 94, like his dad died the day after he was drafted into the MLB by the Rockies. Anyway, congrats to the winners. Good football week. And another big MLB future in the bank. Learn to do math, stop hating, start taking the advice, sign up for the Patreon class, $5 a month. Going to try to get a lot more active than I have been in recent times. Used to be super active, but in the book writing days, been a lot less active, but I'm coming out of the book writing days. Going to start focusing more on the sports days and try to take it to a new level, and you guys are going to want to be here for when that happens. You know, join the club of winners. They've been around for years. Notice when I got here, no one was teaching Gematria how sports are rigged. Now there's about 1,000 Patreons in the world trying to teach Gematria and how sports are rigged. And a lot of them try to compare themselves to yours truly. And why is that? Because you're listening to the source. Congrats to the winners.